What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Glenn Lawrence. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we have a conversation. I got a panel with me. And the topic is modern women don't care about men's struggles. All right. And before I even, get into my opinion of it, I want to share a video from a mentor that I consider a mentor, Rich Cooper. And he did a short video about this. So let's get into it.
This is a less than a minute clip with Joe Rogan, and I don't know who she is, but she's some kind of fighter, or she was dating a fighter. And I'm going to kind of preface this by saying this. Look, women don't care about men's struggles. They hang out at the finish line and they pick the winners. There's a little more R-rated version of that, but I try to water this down for the YouTubes. So just watch this. At the end of it, she basically closes with, he was a great boyfriend. Like, he was one of the best. But at the end of this episode, she dumps this guy. Watch. Oh, I got to turn on the audio.
As this guy is mauling him, he goes like this. What do you think I was thinking?
Not good thoughts. Yeah, you didn't like it.
No.
Did it turn you off?
Oh my God, so much.
Whoa.
I was like, dude, you're getting f***ed up, and as you're falling to the canvas, you still need to go f*** you.
Wow.
You're like, you like that.
So the way he was getting beaten was f***ing with you.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he was getting beaten.
I don't care.
Just,
I
he was like
I don't
shying
care.
away.
Yeah, I don't care if
That he wasn't digging
you're not gonna. Yeah, like you gotta like take that.
Take it.
Yeah, like a champ or like a fighter.
Right.
Yeah, you can't be like.
Wow.
That was,
Was that the beginning of the end?
Yeah.
That was
and he was a great
first
boyfriend.
couple of nails.
He was great.
Tap.
During the fight, he almost gets knocked.
All right. He was a great boyfriend. He was a great boyfriend, but I still dumped his ass anyway because he was not the winner. I hung out at the finish line and I picked a different winner. And I mean, she's pretty basic looking. I mean, my preference is feminine women. So take it with a grain of salt. When I look at that, I look like, like I'm looking at it.
All right. So that was what Rich was saying. This girl was dating a fighter. He was losing the fight. And since he was losing the fight, she all of a sudden became unattracted to him and broke up with him. The struggle was the fight. She didn't care about the struggle that he was going through. And we add this to modern day society and the things that men are going through, men have to deal with on a regular basis. And a lot of women don't care. They just don't care about male struggle, but they want men to care about their struggle. So let me bring up the panel. We have the lovely Coco. Hello, Coco. We have a new man named Black Child. Okay, I've known Black since we go way back like 8 tracks and Cadillacs. And the homie Haran DeMarco. What up, bro?
Yo, what's good?
So, panel, What is going on here? Modern women don't care about male struggle, but they want men to care about their struggle. Is that very hypocritical?
Absolutely, absolutely. But here's the thing, you know, like I always tell you, man. I've arrived as I grow older as a man. I've arrived to the conclusion that most women aren't sensible or practical, and number two, they behave like children. A child doesn't care about an adult's issues. A child cares about his or her issues. You know what I mean? A child isn't empathetic. If your 5 year old is hungry, you know, and or they're going through stuff at school or whatever, they don't want to hear about you and your job. They don't want to hear about your struggles as an adult, how you struggled to put food on the table, so on and so forth. They want to hear about all that. They can't really understand it.
Let me ask this question to Coco real quick, because you brought up an interesting point. Coco, are modern women more like the most mature children in the room?
I would say yes. Um, I personally can't relate to modern women because I don't think like modern women. But the modern women today, all they really care about is inside their bubble. So it doesn't matter if they have a partner that they love or care about. They only really matter what's affecting inside their bubble, like on their social media, how many followers they have, how many guys are going after them, like who likes them enough. And when it comes to their partner, they're like, they have no empathy. For me, I can't understand that. Like, they're like, well, you're a man, figure it out. And I'm like, well, okay, but you can't expect empathy from your partner if you're not giving empathy in return. I can't relate to that because I'm very old fashioned. So if my partner is going through something, I see it or I feel him like, hey, is everything okay? And he's like, oh, I'm just struggling. I'm dealing with this. And it's like, okay, is there something that I can do? Like, whether it's big or small, is there anything that I can help you with this load or whatever? Because I want you to be successful. I want you to have less stress. Like, but modern women today don't look outside their own box. So if it's not benefiting them, they don't give two shits. They just want you to figure it out.
Black, what do you think about this? Do you believe that the modern woman doesn't give a shit about the modern male struggle?
To answer your question, I'm gonna say yeah, but like what Coco said is the lack of empathy, but it's also a lack of the capacity, like her mental capacity of wherever she's at or where she's projecting herself to be, and lack of integrity too. And so I think when you lack the capacity and the integrity, empathy is virtually irrelevant. So I would say that it's just like dude said in the video, it's they'd rather hang out at the finish line than actually be with their partner and grind or be that empathetic to their partner.
That's a really interesting point you made, because you know what? Back in the day, couples struggled together and they built their empires together. Now it seems like women want to inherit an empire already built by the man and cash in on the reward of that empire when they didn't put any labor or any effort into that empire. Haran, what do you say about that? Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, and it's due to a number of things. Whenever you have social issues, I always tell people follow the money. We have a society right now that has given women the opportunity to have a plethora of options. They can seek higher education. They can get their own careers. They can do a lot of things that their grandmothers couldn't have done. And another thing they want to do also is that they don't want to go through the struggles that their grandmothers went through. But they don't understand that within that comes a bonding. All that going through so much trauma, going through the ups and downs of actually building a solid situation, it bonds the couple. You know, one would say that that is the core, that is the crux of marriage. Or if you're not married, that's the crux of the relationship. People aren't really trying to hear that now. People want to jump into a situation. It's already done. It's already set. Like for instance, it's like people treat each other like web applications now. You know what I mean? When people download a web application, they expect it to work immediately. They expect to be no bugs. They expect not to go through a whole bunch of other stuff, and they expect to get what they want when they want it. And if they don't get that, they just toss it. They just toss it in the trash. That's kind of the way people treat each other nowadays.
It's almost like they treat marriage like fast food or relationships like fast food.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There's no, like, before fast food, you had to go in the kitchen, you had to pluck the chicken. You had to, you had to prepare the food. It took hours to prepare. And then you had to cook the meal. And then you ate the meal. Like it seemed like the amount of work that was invested into it, was valued. Nowadays, it's the same thing with marriage. Women don't seem to really value the marriage as much because of these options that they have. And would you guys say is that the fact of these options diminishes marriage in this modern society? And here's an example, or not just options, but here's an idea. I was thinking, women want men to care about women's rights. Women want men to support women getting an abortion. Women want men to pay alimony, and all this other stuff, and child support. But when men say, hey, we have a problem with alimony and child support when it's being abused, women saying, screw you guys, man up, deal with it. And why should men, if that's the response that they're getting, why should men care about women issues? Why should men care about laws that protect women from sexual harassment? If women don't care about laws that protect men from accusations of false sexual harassment,
Well,
why should men care?
well, here's the thing. Regardless of when it comes to a law, when it comes to a system, the importance of it has absolutely nothing to do, or should not have absolutely anything to do with its abuse. Every system, every law is going to be abused by, some asshole. Our capitalist system is abused day in and day out, by some scammer. Now, what I will say is that, sexual harassment laws should be put in place. That is important. However, the downside is that, yes, there are people who lie. What are the numbers of the people that who lie, though, is what we have to ask ourselves. But we also have to maintain a hard line and say that regardless of who lied and who didn't, we have to go through due process. Nobody should be hung up by a string, and we shouldn't be succumbing to social pressures. I am not a one to sit here and be like, believe women and so on and so forth. I will say that yes, if sexual assault most likely happens to a woman, that doesn't necessarily mean that we skip the whole process. We just throw this guy in jail without any opportunity to hear his side of the coin. You have to be very careful. With we have laws put in place because people abuse shit. Okay, that is the main reason why we have a system.
But
Because
don't, but
human
don't,
beings will abuse some shit.
but here's the thing is that, like, we have congressmen and women that say we need to believe all women and
Mhm.
and get rid of due process. And I think that is the problem that we are headed to in society when we are basing everything off emotionalism. basing things off of an emotional standpoint. Like Coco, would you say that that everybody should believe all women? Should we believe all women that make claims of sexual assault?
No. Amber Heard is a very perfect example of that. I mean, there are plenty of sad, pathetic, and catty women out there that are vindictive and malicious. And because either a relationship didn't go their way, or maybe the guy broke up with them and she's a psycho, and she's like, well, if you leave me, I'm going to tell somebody that you beat me, or I'm going to tell somebody that you raped me or sexually assaulted me. Like, they're trying to power flex, but what they're not understanding is the false accusations that you are making is affecting that person's possible freedom. Now, would you like that done to you? No, would you not? You would not. So why would you do that for somebody else when you wouldn't want the same thing done to you?
Well, I would look at it as just like a manipulation tactic, right? Just as guys could use force, right? And guys have been known in the past to use force to manipulate women to do what they want. Women don't have the force, the physical force necessarily to manipulate men to do what they want. So they know that if they label a man a woman abuser or a sexual assaulter, they know that man's life is ruined. And knowing that they could do that to him, know that they can manipulate him into doing what they want. I mean, Amber Heard is a perfect example. She decided that that's what she's going to do. And for almost 6 years now that Johnny Depp has been labeled this, he has lost resources. He's lost career moves. He's lost opportunity over a woman's choice to attack him and use manipulation to get what she wants. Black, what do you think about that?
As far as like the manipulation tactics go?
Yeah.
So I was just kind of thinking like, and I answered my own question too inside of my own mind, is what would be like the male equivalent to that, to reverse onto a female. And it's easy to go to like the relationships where people have like children or whatever, or assets. You could, let's say this goes to court, you could use like where your status is and stability against the female. But you don't really hear about that because that's very few and far in between, because I think it gets to more of the emotional side before those kind of situations happened, where people are actually, reserved enough to take steps and take it to court kind of thing.
I think nowadays men are more accused by public opinion than they are by court of law. And I think the court of public opinion seems to weigh heavier than the court of law. And I think
it does. It does.
And I think that's a detrimental to, anybody falsely accused of anything. And I think that women want men to be concerned about rape. And I think every guy on this panel and everybody listening to this agrees that rape is bad. Men should not rape women, point blank, period. There's not an exception. There's not a reason why you should rape a woman. No means no, unless you're all some kinky sons of bitches and you have a safe word like pineapples. Okay.
Why is it always pineapples?
I don't know. Let's blame Kevin Hart. But no should mean no. That's every guy agrees with that. I think everybody on this panel agrees with that. So
absolutely,
the majority, all the men on here are saying rape is bad. Rape needs to stop. Rapists need to go to prison. But why is it that women cannot say the same thing about a woman that commits false rape charges among men?
Well, here's the thing. Look, we have to understand and we have to accept the fact that, look, this is about power. And there was America before and there's America now. The turning point happened. A lot of people don't really pay attention, but the turning point happened during the Clinton years. When we got super rich and super powerful and super whatever, we entered a world that really was beginning to swing into the hard left, you know, and these things continued, and the conservative ideals, albeit some of it was true, but conservatives were seen as basically Klansmen with a voting card, and there's no one. I'm not sitting here and saying that racism on the right isn't a reality. Shit, there's racism on the left. You know what I mean? I'm aware of the bullshit on both sides of the coin as a black man, but my overall point here is this. You know, it at the end of the day, it's about power, man. And women have a hell of a lot more power than they did 40 or 50 years ago. And they're going to use that in any way possible, shape, or form. And political manipulation, emotional manipulation, in any way, shape, or form. There are women who will use that to gain traction. Just like, and men before, years before, used their muscle to gain traction and conquer the world.
Would you think that would you say that this feminist movement, this new modern wave feminism, is not about equality, but it's about power?
Absolutely. It's always been about power. Look, man, everything is about power. There's no such thing as equality. It can't be. It's mathematically impossible. Look, uh, who in here has siblings?
Everybody, I think, in here has siblings.
Okay, so I'm an only kid. Now,
Oh, except you. Except you.
Except me. Yeah, I'm an only kid. And I know this to be fact, though. In every home, especially when there's like maybe 2 or 3, especially 3 kids, but however more, there's politics in that bitch. And somebody is mom's favorite. And everybody knows who that person is.
Coco, are you mom's favorite? I know your mom was watching, so I'm going to tell Sasha better watch out. I'm ready for this answer. Coco, are you your mom's favorite?
I like to say yes, and I already had this conversation with my mom, and I put her on blast on it. I was like, "You like us? You say you love us equally the same, but that's not true because." Yeah, I already explained it to her, and I was like, "My brother's obviously the favorite for boys because he's the only boy, but out of girls, I'm the princess."
Now, let's take that for a second. Let's take that for a second. Coco, in the midst of her family, in the political structure of her family, she has more influence. She's a favorite. She's the top of the freaking food chain within that social system. Me, hey, I'm sharing power with no one. This is one of the reasons why people hate only children, because they don't have to share power and things with anybody. You know what I mean? And my mom, when she tells me like, "Yeah, I love you," I'm kind of like, "Yeah, but I'm the only one here." So it's just like,
you got no choice.
Yeah, exactly. So
you got no other options.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I love you too, but let's call it what it is. You know what I mean? If there was another kid in here if you had another kid who listened to you far more than I did, he or she would have been the favorite. Let's just call it what it is. But
like, see, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest out of all my siblings. So, like, I'm not the favorite. For my mom, no, I'm probably the worst. But like, I navigated it so much that like me and my mom don't even talk. Like, let's just get it real. Like, I almost did an anti Mother's Day podcast just because. I just have certain feelings towards her, and I'm just not gonna let air it out. Coco stopped me from doing it. Like for me, like I'm the oldest out of all my siblings on my dad's side and my mom's side. And I'm 5 to 6 years older than my siblings on my mom's side. I'm 3 and 10 years older than my siblings on my father's side. So,
okay.
I really don't give a shit about the hierarchy because I was oldest. It didn't matter who the favorite was. For me, it was just like, well, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I'm the oldest. Like that's a little different. And I see Coco's mom chiming in saying that
Oh my goodness.
she loves all of them. They're all her favorite. Don't, Mama, don't be lying now. Don't be lying. But no, what you're saying is true. There's a hierarchy. There is a hierarchy. And
Look,
the
and
hierarchy.
when it comes to us, when it comes to our society, women and children are favored over men. That's just what it is, man. That's just
that's
what it is.
facts.
Sadly, that's
That is
sadly what it
facts.
is. Like, look, man. If something, look, if we're in a burning building, let's just call it what it is. If there's 2 guys in a burning building, 6 women and 5 kids, guess who gets the preference?
Oh yeah.
Those 2 guys are assed out. You
Well,
jump out a window.
Rollo Tomasi makes a point about that. It's called men are disposable.
Yes,
Right?
we are.
We have by our nature are disposable. We go to war. Okay,
Yeah.
we fight the women, fight for and protect women and children. We fight and protect the incubators of life, which are women.
Right.
And women at this point expect equality and equal treatment. That's fine, but guess what comes with that? Equal accountability and equal responsibility. You cannot have power without responsibility. And what
Absolutely.
society today, what women want power, but they want the men to be responsible for their
Yes.
power.
Yes.
Coco, you have something to say to that?
Yes. So I was thinking about this when Ron was talking about like power and stuff like that. I'm like, it's very true, but like how it works is that women in today's so modern women literally want like the men to take all of the heap, all the responsibility, like play the head of household, because they want to just basically have like a free ride the entire way, to do whatever they want, to not have any accountability for any of their actions, to not have to play the role that they would need to play and that you're supposed to play as beneath the husband or your partner, because that's even how it is biblically. It's God, man, woman. They don't want to play that tier, but what they want to do is like, I want you to play the roles. I want you to take care of all of us. I want to basically have a free ride, no accountability, but also at the same time, like, I don't want you to have any power that comes with all of the crap that you're doing, which men are entitled to that power. If they're going to take on basically the world on their shoulders in their household, then they should have that power, because without that, what is the woman going to have? She's going to have to figure that out herself. She doesn't want that job. She doesn't want that kind of weight. I mean, I give props to moms like my mom. I don't know how my mom did it. My mom worked, I don't know how many jobs, took us to our activities, picked us up from school, took us to school, all this kind of stuff. I don't know how she did it. And I still had time from my father. I don't know how she did it. She's a rare anomaly. But like most women in today would actually bitch about that. But they want to have the men take all of this, but not give them any power that is entitled to them for that.
It's like, they want to have all the authority without the responsibility or the accountability of that power and the authority. Black, I mean, you are, a single dad, you're doing your thing, you're taking care of your kids, but like you don't look at it as a burden. You look at it as like, this is your responsibility. This is what you do as a man. Like, do you think you deserve an award for taking care of your responsibilities?
I mean, what kind of award would I receive? Because I do think I should receive an award. No, I don't. But no, it's part of everyday life. It's part of everyday life. You wake up and you do it. I don't see another way. I don't have an option. But this is something that I created and I took on. So it is my responsibility to make sure that everything gets done.
But like, I mean, shouldn't you? I mean, according to the feminine imperative, is like, well, anything that a woman should do should be acknowledged and rewarded, right? So, but Black, you are a single dad. You have custody of all your kids. You are raising all your kids. You're playing both roles for your kids. Shouldn't you be celebrated on Mother's Day?
Yeah. No, it's a funny thing you said that, because somebody before Mother's Day had mentioned that to me. Like, yo, you're the mother and the father now, so happy Mother's Day. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to take that, and I don't want to wear the badge of Mother's Day. I didn't procreate life and incubate it inside of my own body. I didn't grow another person inside of my body. I just had, the download of it.
But do you think it's ridiculous for people to do that? I mean, there's a lot of single moms out there. Like, I'm both mom and dad.
No, so like
I should get rewarded for both. It's you just play your position.
Watch it on Father's Day. Go on your social media, day before, day of, on Father's Day. Guess what you're gonna see? A bunch of women with Happy Father's Day to me, or other, people saying, oh, Happy Father's Day to you, and it's a picture of a woman. Like, that's not it. You don't see a bunch of pictures of men on Mother's Day, and nor do I expect it. So no, I don't think that's correct at all.
What I find interesting, and you guys help me out with this. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Okay, you have women demanding, equal rights, but none of them want equal responsibility of those rights. All right, and I look at. I'm going to use the abortion for an example. I look at abortion outside of rape and incest as a means to avoid responsibility of one's actions. So, other than rape and incest, abortion, 98% of it, there's a statistic out, and I was showing Coco the video earlier with Rollo Tomasi, revealing this. 98% of abortions are because women choose that they don't want to have a kid right now. Meaning they don't want to be responsible for having unprotected sex. And they're like, well, men shouldn't have a say-so. Well, men don't have a say-so, but women have a say-so if they want to keep the child. And guess what? A man doesn't have a say-so at that point. He has to pay for it. So where is the responsibility? Is there a lack of just responsibility and accountability from women? Is that what we're seeing in modern day society? That women just lack responsibility and accountability? Or is it something deeper than that? Is it something that men, and I know, Haran, you're going to go on this one. Is it something that men are responsible for? Are men responsible for the lack of accountability and responsibility from women?
Absolutely. We're responsible for that because we've, like I always tell you, you know what I say, we created a safe world. We pampered them. We put them in spaces where they didn't have to lift a finger. The idealized concept of a man is, Prince Charming, saving a woman from her, stressed or distressed life and putting her on a pedestal, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So we created this world where we pretty much conditioned them to believe that, hey, number one, okay, we're going to listen to feminism. We're going to listen to everything that you want to, gripe about. But number two, we're not going to put our foot down in terms of, if you're going to have this power, you need to hold yourself accountable and you need to come to grips with the responsibility that comes along with the power. We didn't do that when we allowed feminism to take hold of the community. And again, that's on us. Now, I think now, the genie's out of the bottle. If I may say one thing, this is how different shit is now. And Coco, I can tell that you're of a certain age, and Glenn, we're all people of a certain age. No, I'm not calling you old.
Hold on. When you say of a certain age, Are
I'm not
you
calling you old.
are you pointing out the gray hair in my beard?
No, no, I'm not. I'm not saying. You know, what I mean, you got gray hair on your beard. I'm saying that you're both not 19. You know, what I mean, you're both people from a certain era. You know, I can speak to you and say, be like, hey, remember back in the days? You know, what I mean, I'm gonna tell you some funny shit before I even get into that. This is how.
Here
This
we
is
go.
how.
Here we go.
This is how generational. You know, what I mean, gaps are so fucking funny. I was on Twitter and a black dude. They were showing they were commenting on a clip of Color Me Bad, a video of Color Me Black Bad singing I'm gonna sex you up, right? The black dude was like, I didn't even know they were white. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how fucking old am I? Like,
Well, I mean, that's almost as bad as everybody thinking that Bobby Caldwell's white
yeah,
or black.
that
Everybody thought
black,
Bobby Caldwell was black. I mean, he
yeah,
is
exactly,
white as hell.
exactly. But anyway, here's the point of what I'm saying. You got remember back in the days, man, before the internet, before or even before the explosion of social media, you have chicks who are like a 5, who are like a 4. They didn't really act out of pocket, man. They knew where they were, where they landed on the scale. They dealt with whatever dudes they could get their hands on. You know what I mean? They dealt with that. And, you know, it was what it was. They didn't gripe. They were happy with what they got. They didn't really get any back talk out of it. Now, you know what I mean, with the advent of social media, you throw some filters on, you throw some makeup on, you know what I mean, to these chicks who are like 4s and 5s, and regardless of the fact that they are 4s and 5s, they can still get on social media or Tinder and still clean the fuck up. Okay, they can still do that. So there in their minds, you got 4s and 5s living like 9s and 10s from when you know what I mean before social media. So their minds are like, well, shit, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I can get me a quote unquote high value man or so on and so forth or whatever. And I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that because, you know what I mean? I have all of these options. I will say this though. I will say this. And I was very, I was kind of making a joke with one of my, friends, you know, she happens to be very stunning. I told her, I was like, yeah, you see these chicks, these ugly chicks, you know what I mean? They got real wayward. Once you pretty girls stop acting mean to them, I blame you. You know what I mean? When you when you stop acting mean to these ugly girls, you know what I mean? And you let everyone, you know what I mean, hang out in the same pool, they got really beside themselves.
Well, yeah, like I really think that like you made a good point. Like back in the day before social media, I mean, like ugly girls were the nicest ones ever. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like because that's what they had going for them. The pretty girls like Coco had the looks and they had every guy falling for them. But them ugly girls had to outwork those pretty girls with personality. Oh, we got Tristan in the building. What up, Tristan?
What's going on, fellas? Everybody know why I'm here.
That's right. We are here for the memes. The memes.
Everybody knows that woman who can get anything she wants, and that is this woman right here. That is Oprah. Whatever Oprah asks for, that is what I'm gonna do.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
Now, here,
Hey
Tristan,
man.
here's the question though. Like, here's the question of the topic. The topic is: do modern women not care about male struggle?
Oh, that's a tough one because I think they do, but also it's like they're trained not to at the same time. It's like they
Mm,
want to care, but they be like, but the way men act, they'll start generalizing. They'll act
hmm
like they don't want to care. So, that's how I look at it. I'm like, you care because if I'm nice to you, you'll be nice to me. But
I also think like women don't care about male struggle unless it affects the woman directly. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
Coco,
but
hold on. I want to get Coco's opinion on that real quick, Ron.
okay.
Coco, would you agree with that? Women don't necessarily care about male struggle. Modern women don't care about male struggle unless it affects them directly.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to what I said earlier. If it's not within their box, and as long as it doesn't mess up their environment, they don't care what's going on with you. As long as you still keep treating them and being a certain way with them and giving them what they want. Because otherwise, if you shift that by any means, now they got a problem with you and everything that's going on. But I wanted to point out something that Haran said that actually was a really good point, but there was a huge shift in it. He had mentioned like pampering. He was like, like we started pampering, we always pampered women. And it's true. And especially if you look at it, he was also talking about siblings, that you notice that, especially fathers treat their daughters different than they treat men. They will coddle the daughters. They're their princesses. They don't want nobody to harm them, nobody to touch them. They'll kill anybody that shows up at their door that's trying to date their daughter. And for men, they're like, well, I'm going to give you tough love because you got to know exactly what's going on in the real world today, and you got to buck up. But I think the difference in the shift is that, yes, Ron, back in my day, when I had seen that, when I experienced that with my parents. My dad was a lot harder on my little brother because he's a lot younger than me. He's almost 10 years younger than me. And my dad treated my sister and myself a lot different than he treated my brother. He gave us more love. He was very like snuggly and all this stuff and playful. And my brother, he was like, stop getting upset that you have calluses. But the difference that I saw, because my dad would always tell me, this is how a man is supposed to treat a woman. And I saw what he did with my mom. He never wanted her to go without. He never wanted her to have to struggle, or he wanted her to make sure she had everything that she needed so he could also provide for the family. But I think the shift that happened is that in those dynamics, the household isn't the same, because I see that and I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be, because this is how my mother treated my father. He was the head of household. We had to do what he said. We had to listen to him. But I also saw how my dad treats my mom like a queen, and he adores her. But in this day and age, you don't see that. The fathers will still coddle their daughters, but then the daughters are seeing their moms treat their dad like a piece of shit and walking all over them like a doormat. So they're not having good models to actually see, okay, well, I want to be treated this way. So all they're saying is like, I should be treated like this, but I should still be able to treat him like a piece of crap because my mom does that, which is creating bad behavior in women.
I didn't really think about that. I didn't take that into consideration. That's a good point.
Yeah, Black, what do you think about that? Do you think that, because we grew up together, so just so you guys know, me, Black, we all grew up together. And I remember my stepdad one time telling me, he's like, you know, when I was asking him why he was harder on me and my brother Anthony, even though my brother Anthony, he really, you know, except that he got beat one time really bad, but, you know, he never got a really good whooping. He never got a good whooping like I did, except one time. But I remember my stepdad telling me, like, the reason why I'm harder on you is because the world doesn't give a fuck about you. The world is hard. If you're a man, the world is hard. It's difficult. It's challenging. The world is not going to be easy on you because you're a man. Black, you agree to that, right?
No, I agree to that, absolutely. And again, it's because all the examples from us coddling and pampering women, and also, you know, like Coco said, to protect anything that may be a potential danger out the door.
What's up? I want to say welcome to Coach Justin. Coach Justin, welcome to the building. The chat is modern women don't care about male struggle. And we highlighted some points where examples where women don't necessarily care about male struggle, the things that men have to deal with. Now, I would say you as a coach, you probably get this conversation a lot with your clients, you know, with husbands that are married, and they're like, why doesn't my wife give a damn about me? Now, do you see this in your work? Do you see that there is an increase of lack of empathy or concern about men in society?
Well, yeah, that comes up with married guys typically, but I get them to focus more on themselves, because it's like, why are you looking for mommy to give a shit about how hard your life is. Like, you're born alone, you work alone, you die alone. Like,
Absolutely.
like, women aren't here to pat you on the back or like rub you. Oh, it'll be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. Like, life is fucking hard. I don't care if you're a millionaire. I don't care if you're fucking. Who's that dude? That black guy who can run like 1,000,000 miles? He's like completed the SEAL team training like 100 times.
David Goggins.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Goggins. Like, I don't care if you're David. Like, his life is fucking hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but he's not looking for someone to be like, oh, your struggles, you're so tough. Like, let me make you a brownies. Like, no. So, you know, I tell these guys to like quit worrying about what she's doing and let's look at what you're doing, and that's probably where your problems are beginning and ending.
Well, here's my question then. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But when I look at it, like, let's say family law, for instance, I think everybody agrees here that family law is fucking ass backwards, and it's tipped. The scale is tipped against men in family law.
Well, it's outdated. It's greatly outdated.
Now, I would say since it's outdated, and if women actually were concerned about men, they would want to rectify these family laws that are unequally balanced.
Why would they want to do that?
Well, because they want men to care about women's issues. So you would think that, okay, in return, you want us to care about rape and you want us to care about abuse. That's fine, we will. Can you guys care about this issue for us? And they don't, because it doesn't benefit them.
Well, we don't need them to care in order to change the laws. You know what I'm saying? It's like that happens all the time with laws. People are like,
well, we
oh my
need
gosh,
them to, we
look at
need
this
them
thing.
to vote on it. We need them to vote on it. We need the politicians that are female to actually vote on it to make the changes. So, and again, in a way that we do need them to care about it to a degree.
Right.
Okay, Glenn, I understand what you're saying, but here's the thing: you have to look at it from a political standpoint. All right. When we hire politicians, when we put politicians in office, their goal is rarely, if ever, to actually do the goddamn job. Their goal is essentially to the moment that they win, figure out what the next step is. You know what I mean? Concentrate on their next campaign. Do they got their eyes on senator, the White House, whatever it is. So nobody wants that on their record that they changed that they were for changing the family court laws to swing in the direction of men. Because let me tell you something, the female vote 9 times out of 10 decides who gets in office.
Tristan, really? That's all I gotta say.
I'm just saying. Haran just like this. I'm just gonna blast this door wide open.
I mean, hey, we got to talk about what's real. I mean, we can talk about look. Listen. When I solve problems, on a day-to-day basis as an engineer, there's just certain things that I just got to basically accept. It's just is what it is. And I got to basically work my solution around something that is basically either a constant or it's just no one's basically gonna put the money up to actually fix this particular certain thing. And as it stands, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, to Coach's point, it is. Those laws are outdated, but trust me, they are not on the priority list for any politician.
Well, I get that. I totally agree with that. I'm just saying from a principle standpoint, Coach, you would think that, like, if we were going to make things equal or fair, we would update these outdated laws. Would you not agree, Coach?
Yeah, but the problem is that right now there's a lot of profit in how things are now. The whole like the trifecta between well, no, it's more than that, but just like the mating industry, the marriage industry, and the divorce industry, it's all they're very much linked, and there's tons and tons of profit involved on all the levels. So it's like, why, like, to them perhaps it's like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because
Right.
you know
Right.
you know what I'm saying. It's like, because if we made the laws better, or if the laws were made better, right, more equitable, then you wouldn't have lawyers battling things over for months or years. You know, like one of my clients, he has been in divorce court now for almost 2 years.
Shit.
2 years. And she just keeps coming up with new shit, like just pulling things out of her ass that just does not exist. She's gone through 6 lawyers now. 6. Because they're like, lady, you're crazy. And she's like, fine, I'll just find another lawyer.
Jesus
God
freaking
damn.
Christ.
Hey,
Yeah.
who's paying
Jesus
for
freaking
it?
Christ.
Well,
He
I mean,
is.
he is. He is. She's good. She's
He's
going to
paying
make
for it.
sure. He's
No,
going to make sure.
What?
He's not paying for her legal costs.
Wow, that's good.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was
Okay.
so nervous.
she's
I'm
got
like,
it. No, she's got her own shit.
Now,
Okay.
here's a question I want to ask the panel. And I'll start with Coach. Coach, should men care about women problems?
Only the woman that's in front of them. Like, only the woman that they're actually dealing with. I mean, or if you're just like some freedom fighter, like that's like your shit. Like, let's say that's your career, right? But if you're a sociologist, or you're in law, or you're in like, public health or whatever, sure, yeah, like that's you're part of your vocation. But if it's not your vocation and you don't have a woman in front of you, like, what the hell are you bothering with it for? Probably just virtue signaling.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Black, what do you say? Do you think men should care about women issues? Black, are you still there with me?
Is he asleep like Morty?
He might be. All right. Haran, what do you think? Do you think men should care about women issues? I mean, I think Coach made a good point. I think you should only care about the woman in front of you. The only woman that you're in a relationship, you should probably be concerned about her issues.
I mean, to an extent. I mean, like, I don't, I believe that, I do believe that if women want an opportunity, what I mean, for equal rights and so on and so forth, yeah, sure. But I do also believe that they should accept the responsibility that comes along with that. Am I for, abortion laws and so on and so forth? Yes, I am for a number of things. However, I don't indulge in female issues. I don't indulge in abortion debates. There's certain things I'll be, oh yeah, that's important. But I have my own hands tied with my own life. My own issues. And making my own woman happy. Well, I would say making myself happy and basically, expressing that with her. But dealing with my own woman is a full-time job within itself. So I don't have time to sit here and discuss the plethora of problems and issues that's going on in the in the female world.
What do you say, Tristan? Should men be concerned with women problems?
well, like the everybody else is to an extent, because it's like, if you don't care about my problems, why should I care? So it's it's just basically playing volleyball at the moment. It's just like, I care, but you don't care about me, so why should I give the ball back? That's how I'm looking at it. But I think we have no choice because we run it. It's just like, okay, she's in my ear, so we gotta do something about it. Like, do we really? I don't think we ever cared about women's problems, and we still don't. So it's just, we have to. I say we have to deal with it. I think that's a better phrase. We deal with their problems.
I will say this though. I think that we should spend more time as men prioritizing our own issues. Prioritizing ourselves, in life. Because here's the thing. I tell
Mhm.
people all the time, as a man, you should never, ever, ever be in the convincing business. You should only be in the presentation business. The moment you got to convince somebody of something, you already lost, man. I was having a discussion with a kid who was talking about, he said, sales jobs suck. And I told him, I'm like, no, sales jobs don't suck. It's just that most people suck at sales. Because they just don't understand. Like I said, you're not in the convincing business, you're in the presentation business. So look, I present who I am to a woman, I present what I'm about. If you're not with that, I keep it pushing. I'm not gonna sit here and try to convince anybody to be on board with what I'm doing. I tell a woman all the time in the beginning, the door is always open. I'll never hard tie you. I'll never, try to manipulate you to stay or so on and so forth. Because it's like, look, man, at the end of the day, I'm on to the next one.
No, I get that, and I think that a lot of men don't operate, and I think that's frame control.
Yeah.
And I think Coach will agree with
Honestly,
that. That's
Glenn, if we couldn't fuck them, I don't think guys would care much about women's issues.
no, I think I think it's a really legit,
I mean,
realistic point. Yeah. So
yo,
do
it
you
is
think
what
it?
it is.
So then, a way,
Like
men caring about.
imagine if imagine like if you got like every single time every man just got like deathly ill or like made your dick burn like nothing else, like putting like rubbing alcohol on an open cut, like every time you had sex, like guys would be like, fuck women's issues.
Oh no, I mean there'd be like 5 of us on the planet. We would have died off millennia ago.
No, we would just do artificial insemination. But I'm just saying, it's
No.
like if you take sex off the table, and guys really
Right.
wouldn't give a shit.
Well,
No,
like,
not
'cause
really.
I saw this video. I think actually I have it. I'm gonna play it, and it was really interesting because when I was watching it, and I was like, okay, they want us to be concerned about their issues, but then they say some shit like this, and I'm just like, I can't get into this. Like, I can't co-sign this at all, or be concerned about anything when it comes to women issues when this is the rhetoric that's being said. So hold on one second. Let me share this video real quick. Here we go.
About a serious injustice in this world, and that is the sexism that comes from men and is forced onto women. Women are raped and murdered, and for this, we need to kill all men. I am sick of being a baby factory that produces more men that will just, in the future, subjugate me. So the only answer to that is to kill male babies and just kill any man that you see, like in the street, like any swing chick, just kill him. Because we want the species to go on, but we want it only to go on with women in it.
So
Jesus.
kill all men.
Jesus
You know,
Christ.
guaranteed that woman hasn't been fucked really good in a really long time.
I just want to know who is fucking her, because she doesn't look like she's a baby factory. She doesn't look like anybody would want to fuck her short-haired ass. Coco, what do you say about like women that say rhetoric like that? Like that woman is saying, she wants us to care, because women are raped and women have all these issues. But when it comes down to it, her issue is to just kill all men. And I see Mama in the building in the chat. She's like, she needs to get fixed. I love men. Oh, trust me, Mama. We know you love men. But Coco, what do you say about that rhetoric being said? This is from women saying that we need to kill men, and they're like, that's a solution.
It's women like that I believe literally do have a mental disability, because she contradicts the things that she's saying because it doesn't make any sense. She's saying she wants civilization to go on, but without men in it. Well, you do know we're not like frogs. We can't change our sex. So we can't just automatically have the all females and then change to a male and impregnate each other. You have to have men and women in order to procreate. You can't kill off all men. And one, if you are tired of being a baby factory, one, that is your own personal choice because you are choosing to have sex with someone to make babies. If you don't want to make babies, get snipped. Why? I mean, like women. Like, get your tubes tied, get a hysterectomy. If you don't want to be a baby factory, then make that a personal choice that you're making and then get the procedure done to do so. Don't depend on birth control. Don't expect men to just get snipped. If you feel this way strongly about it, one, you shouldn't be with men. And then two, you should get yourself fixed so you don't have to worry about it. Men aren't the problem. Yes, men have raped and abused women. And those men should be dealt with. But that doesn't mean that all men are like that. And when women are speaking like this about men, what makes a woman actually think that a man wants to actually fight for a woman's right? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'd be like, you're gonna be talking crap about me, but yet you want me to support me. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think if I saw that chick, get assaulted or something, knowing that she wants to kill all men, I don't know. I probably would have a really hard time wanting to interfere with that problem.
I
Honestly,
want to say,
Coco, I don't think that she needs to get her tubes tied. I don't think she has anything to worry about. Things are just going to occur naturally. That the fact she's not going to be a baby factory.
I like to speak on that woman right there. First of all, I mean, keep anything male away from that woman. Male puppies, male plants, you know what I mean? Just anything male, you know what I mean? And she has a very wild-eyed look that some would associate mostly with mental illness. But what I would sit here and say this. What fascinates me about our society for decades, you know what I mean? And I'm speaking from the space of a marginalized person. For decades, I have seen the ongoing struggle between white men and white women. White women have done an exceptional job of playing both sides of the political spectrum. For example, when we think about racism, sexism, or any kind of ism in this world, the immediate go-to is the face of a white man. We don't even think about white women when we when the concept of racism is often discussed. They're often thrown in with liberals, so on and so forth. Even though 53% of them actually voted for Donald Trump, and a large amount of them still vote Republican. But they did a very awesome job of playing both sides of the political aisle. When we think about slavery, we don't really think about white women. We don't really discuss, white women who own slaves. They'll have you think that, white women back in those days, they were just sitting at home knitting, probably knitting a piece of the American flag. And her husband went out for a six-pack, and he came back with a boat full of black people. You know what I mean? And to her shock, to her chagrin, she had nothing to do with it.
Oh my God, what are we supposed to do with all these?
Exactly. You know what I mean? And it's like what bewilders me is a lot of times I see white women just literally just throw white men under the bus. Under the freaking bus. But enjoy the spoils that comes along with privilege. And that has always fascinated me. I just have to say that.
Hey Tristan, Your meme is offensive. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it's worse at work.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
What somebody think of my white brothers, man?
Can I get some help? No, I'm kidding. No, but I think it's interesting what that woman said though, like because I think that naturally a lot of guys like all agree. I think everybody I already talked to except Coach on here, but I believe Coach agrees that sexual assault, sexual harassment upon anybody, rape anybody is horrible and should never be
Absolutely.
permitted. All right, and I think every man on here agrees with that.
Yes.
But when you have a woman that says we should kill all men, so that means that's including the men that agree with her that these rapes and these sexual assaults are bad. No, we need to kill them too. And then now that's really counterproductive because if you want us to give a damn about you, and then now you're saying you got to kill us, well, survival of the fittest is going to come in, and we're going to say, sorry, I like living more than I like your hole, And if it comes down to it, it's going to
Imagine
be
the
a
guys
fight.
who went out there. Imagine the guys who went out there with their pink bunny hats at those parades, those women rights parades, and they're like maybe the first ones slaughtered when it comes to the culling of men. That's gotta suck. You know what I mean? Because you went out there, you sacrificed your own manhood, you sacrificed your own, identity as a man, as a human being, and in the end, they wanted you basically sliced open and thrown in with a piece of shit like me. That's gotta suck.
Yeah, like Coach, what do you think about this? Like when you see that video, and that's the rhetoric that's being taught. I mean, there's a movie that came out in 2018 called Misandrist. The whole movie was about killing men. And it's like the rhetoric that's coming out here is very counterproductive for women if they want men to give a damn about their struggles. And why should men give it? As you pointed out, since if men are not fucking women, men don't care about their struggles. So why should men continue to? And I look at these white knights, and this is my question to you, Coach. These white knights, in my opinion, tend to be the most violent, the most deceiving type of men out there that manipulate the women. And I think a lot of these women are talking about these white knights. Because I don't think any alpha guy, any guy that's about his business is going out raping women. What do you say to that, Coach?
No, they're not. And they have all that energy because they're just not getting any ass. And when you're not getting any ass, you get frustrated. And that energy has to go somewhere. And so on one hand, they're trying to side up and become allies, and in hopes of just getting close to pussy, just being in the proximity of pussy, and then but they're still not getting it. So that energy goes into their
I smelled it.
right. And so that energy goes they kind of side up with the ally issues, and then that energy gets focused on men, right? And they start hating on men and doing all kinds of crazy shit, or they just go bonkers and start killing people, or they rape women. Depends on how they process their issues.
Coach, can I ask you something?
Yeah, what's up?
Me and Glenn, we talk, and I often tell him, I say, look, man, the most dangerous person on the planet is an undesirable man.
Well,
Because,
I mean, I personally, actually, I have a saying that I mention a lot on my recordings, is that the most dangerous man on the planet, or the most dangerous person on the planet, is a free-thinking, healthy man, because he's not right, because he's not controllable, he's not predictable, and he's self-sufficient. So the powers that be are like, fuck, we can't predict what he's gonna do, we can't make money off of it, we can't control him, and he's getting stronger and smarter. You know what I'm saying? And it draws people to him, right? And he won't shut up. And so Yeah, those are the people the most dangerous. But I hear what you're saying though.
I think
And
he's
yes,
saying like
these
I think he's
guys are
saying like the most predatory men out
these
there
guys. Yeah, not
are
dangerous
these
to the
pimps.
system, dangerous to women, and dangerous to other men who are like them.
Oh yeah, definitely, and they're more likely to look. Listen, you know what I mean. You don't see like you don't see a 6'2", you know what I mean, model or Chad kicking in the door and shooting up people. You know
No.
what I mean. You're not going to see that. You
Well,
know what I
well,
mean.
the
You're going
the
to see
incels have been put on like the FBI's watch list,
right.
like incel websites, YouTube channels, like all sorts of social shit. Like they're like in anything like incel related. Probably me even just saying the I word has like triggered some fucking like psyop shit.
Great, thanks.
Right.
You just
Oh.
put us on the watch list because you said it like 4
Right.
times, Coach.
Damn.
But you know what? It's true because I think a lot of people confuse people that are red pilled or they're familiar with that space with incels, and a lot of guys in this space don't have problems with women. They may have had problems with women before, but they have learned women behavior. They learn from this community, and they just navigate the relationships with women differently. Would you agree to that, Coach?
No, definitely not. There's way more dudes who are not getting ass than are, and
Right.
both are. You'll find if you were to do like a like a true test, if you could, of like who's getting laid amongst men who are red pilled, so to speak. You're gonna find way more that are virgins and not getting laid. Because this is the largest generation right now. Like
Yeah, the largest generation of men not having sex.
Yes.
There's more men under the age of 30 not having sex than any other time in the world.
Yep.
In history. Think about it. Think about being 30 years old and you never touched a woman's butt or a boob or something. I don't know. I would lose my mind.
I mean, it
But
sucks to suck. That's what I would have said. My father would have
Right,
said it sucks to
these
suck.
guys are, and this is why I have some contention with the R word, is that it brings in pain and frustration from guys, and it breeds like a cult like mentality, and that's the issue that I have with it. It's like it's not the information itself. It's like a good friend of mine. He's like, you know what? I've got no problem with Jesus Christ. It's the people that follow him that I have issue with.
No, I get
Right,
that.
right, right.
I could totally get that, and I think that's the problem. I think a lot of guys, because I think getting red pilled or going through that information is like the stages of grief. You know, you have like the anger stage, you have the denial stage, and then you finally work your way up to the acceptance stage. You know, and you take responsibility stage. Like, you know, I think a lot of guys that are coming into this community are stuck at the anger stage and they don't ever transition to the other stages where, like, yes, you could be you could first be, like denying it. You're in the denial stage, and then you go to the anger stage. But at some point, you have to get to the acceptance stage and the responsibility stage that you play into it yourself. And a lot of these guys do not transfer into those stages. They stay in the anger stage.
They don't, because regardless of how much information they pack in, regardless of however many YouTube videos they watch or how many times they fucking recite Rollo's books, they're still in the same place that they were prior to the red pill. Now they just have knowledge. They're still a fucking loser who can't get laid.
Yeah.
I believe I know why, though. I believe I know why. And here's the thing. You know, there was a world
They got no game.
and that's it. You know what I mean? There was a world outside of, you know what I mean, the manosphere and before that and before we got online and all this other shit. And, you know what I mean? We traded these kinds of ethos. And in that world, before social media, you cut your teeth on the concrete. You know what I mean? You got your ass beat in the street, literally and figuratively. You saw your own blood. You know what I mean? We come from a generation where you had to put in the work in, or you don't get money, you don't get pussy, you don't get to, you know what I mean, pass on your genes, you don't get to live, you don't get to survive. these kids, they're a lot of them, they're disillusioned, and they're realizing that, yeah, social media conditions you to believe that you can get everything you want with just a click of the button. But you have to understand something. There is still nature when you turn off the computer, and nature is brutal. Nature is a friend of no one. If you can't keep up, it will, you will be destroyed, and your betters will be rewarded.
And as Tristan says, Thanos was right.
Yes, he was. Yes, he absolutely was, man. I
You
tell
know,
people that.
it's interesting. I saw a buddy of mine. If you guys don't know who he is, his name is Alpha Villain. He has a YouTube channel, Alpha Villain AV. Finish your breakfast with Alpha Villain in the morning, every day, Monday through Friday. Check him out. He sent this clip, and he had this clip on Instagram, and he's talking about male delusion. We all understand that women are delusional when it comes to their expectations of men. Not all. Let's just say not all, for Coco's sake, but not all women are delusional. But modern women are delusional with their expectations of men. And he's like, men are delusional as well with their expectations of women. And I responded to him and said, the problem is not their delusion. The problem is not their delusion. The problem is that they feel entitled to these type of men or these type of women. That's the problem. That's where the anger comes from. And Black, what do you think about that? What do you think about like men that they feel entitled to a certain type of woman? Oh God, there he goes. Tristan,
You knew I was gonna bring her up.
I know you were. You're trying to get me. You're trying to get some smoke. I was just on a podcast with her, and she said anybody that has anything on her, she gonna send smoke to him. Why are you trying to get me smoked out?
You know Jen loves us.
But Black, what do you think about that? Do you think it's the entitlement mentality that these individuals have that causes their anger? Black, are you with us?
I'm gonna
there you
say
are.
yeah, it's their entitlement, but hello.
Yeah, we hear
I'm
you.
gonna say it's their entitlement, but I don't know what that's like. I can't. Hello.
Yeah. You're good. You're good. You're good. Keep talking.
I can't speak from that because I don't know what that's like. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that, or yeah, I'm just gonna have to agree with that because I don't know. Again, I don't know what that's like, so I can't speak from something I don't know what it's from a lack of experience.
Hold on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. All right. Do you think it's the entitlement mentality that actually stimulates a lot of this anger that these people have? Do you think women feel entitled to a certain type of man? If they can't get that certain type of man, that's where they're angry?
Well, yes. I mean, well, in today's society, we have created everybody, well, not us, but all the new people have made everybody so soft. And they grew up basically with a lot of free range parenting and everything handed to them, and them not really having to work for anything. So when they don't get that, then they're like, well, I'm entitled to this. And I feel like this goes a little bit back to what I was saying earlier about kids being exposed to how parents treat each other, that women have seen that they should be handed the world, but yet they shouldn't have to do anything for it in return. So when these guys are being like, I have certain expectations in a woman, like a real woman, and then they're like, well, wait a minute, you shouldn't have expectations of me, but I'm sure as hell gonna have expectations of you, but I should still be treated like a queen. Well, why would you be treated like a queen with an attitude and undesirable traits that a real man doesn't want? So then that's where I think women get the like, fuck all men mentality, men ain't shit and all this other stuff, but it's because they don't actually want to have to change to be a wholesome woman to actually obtain a real man.
Fellas, what do you guys say about that? Tristan, what do you think? Do you think what she's saying is right?
Yeah, she's accurate because it's our, like for men, our standards always progress compared to the women. Well, progresses faster compared to the women. So it's like we have to perform, and as inflation goes, so does our performance. We have to go with inflation. A woman can be like, "Listen, I'm just trying to stay home." And what are you gonna do if you want her? You're gonna put in the work to make sure you make enough money where she can stay home. I think I said women can set the standards, and we're gonna have to bust our ass to do that. I said they really don't have to if they don't want to, and which is what no, this is what freedom looks like. That's what I'm gonna say. This is what freedom is. This is what this is. Everybody has too much freedom on their hands. They need to fix this. Everybody should just be like, hey, every Sunday, go to the courthouse and everybody just duke it out. You know what I'm saying? The husband's upset, the wife's upset. Everybody, every Sunday at 3 p.m., go to the courthouse steps and just duke it out. And whoever wins has to wash the dishes. You know what I'm saying?
Haran, what do you say about what Coco said? Like, I think there's some truth to that. I think there's a lot of truth to that. That women don't want to be. Women don't want standards. I mean, we see that modern women don't want standards at all. Like we've seen that on Sports Illustrated alone.
Right.
Like they're like, no, this is beautiful. Take my fat ass and love me. And
Right.
and for a guy like me to be like, no fat chicks, that's not beauty.
You know
Beauty's
what's
in the eye of the beholder, and whoever said that didn't have to hold her. Okay, like
He presses the cancel button every time. It's like he just dangles his finger over it, just hovers. Like, should I get
yo,
canceled or not?
you know what's real funny, Glenn? I was on Facebook and the young lady's Sports Illustrated photo showed up, and the meme was if they want us to be cool with this, and on the right it says then make sure that what I mean we throw this guy on their covers, and the cover was a guy who was this guy looked like 60% fucking body fat. You know what I mean? And yeah, he was a pretty big guy. And my statements were, hey, sounds fair to me. Now I got some pushback, but also got some support. I got some pushback from some women who said that they prefer men with dad bods and men who are in shape, or they're egotistical and so on and so forth, or whatever would have you. And I said, really? And she says, yeah. I was like, yeah, but I recall you maybe a month or two ago salivating over Jason Momoa and Lenny Kravitz. You were on my goddamn page, you know what I mean, salivating
oh,
over these two men.
Coco, they mentioned Jason Momoa. Are you okay over there?
You know what I mean? And I remember that, hey, look, man, my girl, wanted to go see Aquaman. She hates DC movies. She's a Marvel girl. It's like, I hate DC, but I'll go for that guy, you know what I mean? And it is what it is. But anyway, the point I was making was that the girls who were for the dad bod were, let's just call it what it is. These were heavy set women themselves, maybe five, sixes, sixes pushing it, but it is what it is. The
More
fit
like
chicks though,
three and
yeah,
fours.
the fit chicks though, the sevens, the eights, and the nines that commented on my page, they said, "Oh hell no!" They flat out said that, "Nah, we don't want that dad bod shit." You know what I mean? And they were women, of course, they were women who could choose. They were women who had leverage. You know what I mean? They were women who had the option to say that I'm not dealing with a dude who looks like this. I want a guy who looks like that. You know what I mean? Especially since I'm in the gym heavy. And I respect that. See, the problem I have here, Glenn, is this. You know what I mean? People feel entitled to things without putting in the work. You know what I mean? People feel
Absolutely.
entitled You want fucking abs, but you want to eat like shit. You want to eat fucking ice cream in the morning. You want to eat ice cream in the afternoon. You literally would take a bag of, you know what I mean, and connect an IV into your fucking arm with fucking Rocky Road if you could get away with it. But you
Hey,
want
hey, hey,
abs,
hey, you
though.
know what? I had a McFlurry last night, okay? I don't need this type of shame from you, Ron. It was just one McFlurry.
But you know what I mean. The point of the matter is that these people, you want abs, you want to be bursting out the seams. You know what I mean.
I'm being
You
attacked right now.
you
911. I
want
am
to
being
you want
attacked.
to you want a top level person. You want a top level individual, but you're not willing to put in the work. You know
And
what I mean. Now,
I think that's the biggest thing that I see. Well, you're making a huge point. I think that's the biggest thing that I see when it comes to modern day women. They have these amazing standards. And they're right. They have every right to want these standards from men.
absolutely.
But they don't meet the standards that men that have
No,
those standards
no.
want from women.
I've seen it time and time again. I mean, like, look, listen.
Black, hold on, Haran. What you gotta say something, Black?
Huh?
I thought I heard you chime in. Were you saying something?
Oh no, that was just the activities of outside.
Oh, okay.
And you know
Yeah.
what? You know what we need to do again, Glenn. Like I said before, guys need to frame their mother in a very practical sense. Look at your mother as a woman, man. Stop looking at your mom as this pinnacle of, of femininity. She's a woman just like everyone else. You can love your mom, but she is not without fault. I looked at my dad and I said to myself, okay, clearly my mother was a hypergamist. Clearly. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean? My mother, you know what I mean, said that I'll never date a man with a big stomach. Yeah, you know what I mean? She's, like most women, you know what I mean? Even if they have a couple of pounds on them, they ain't dating a fat dude. You know what I mean? We have to understand and think about like all these issues that we have with women, don't think that it just happened with the women that we, what I mean, came across. Like who is that? Tristan, like who is that?
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, it's interesting because you're right. Men need to look at their mothers as women, not necessarily as this beacon of Saint Mother Teresa. Like me, like what my mom's name in my phone is
Don't say it, bro, because Coco doesn't want to. Coco, don't do it, bro. Don't do it.
Do you guys
Don't
remember?
do it.
You guys remember
Don't,
the Little Mermaid?
I feel an
don't do it.
argument is going to happen after this live.
Do you guys
Don't
do
do
you,
it.
do you guys remember the Little Mermaid?
Oh
She is
Jesus,
like,
yeah,
she's
yeah. I
she's
remember the
holding
Little
back so
Mermaid, man.
Do you remember the evil queen
Oh
Ursula?
God, Ursula. Oh Jesus
That's
Christ,
not even
man.
my mother's name, but
Jesus,
that's her name in my phone. And it's not just
Jesus
my phone.
Christ,
It's
man.
not. Here's the thing. It's not just in my phone. My sister has that name for her
Oh
as well.
Jesus Christ,
Okay.
no.
Jesus
So no,
Christ,
you're
man.
right. Like we can't. But that's the thing that we do.
Jesus.
We tend to look at every woman as a saint, like our mothers, and we don't look at our mothers' actions and give them any criticism. Just like we do that to our fathers.
Good.
We measure our fathers like, Dad, you fucked up here. You could have been a better man here. You could have been a better dad here. We do that to our fathers. How many men say, I want to be a better father than my dad was? Like that is the common statement that most men make.
Right.
But most men never say, I'm going to date a better woman than my mother was. And men should say that.
They usually say, I'm going to find a woman like my mom.
Exactly. And they should be like, you know what? I want a better woman than my mother. Because they don't ever criticize their mother. They never give their mother criticism. For some reason, moms are off the table when it comes to criticism. And then women have adopted that mentality like we are off the table of criticism and not reaching standards. So I think you have a point there. I don't know. Coco, what do you think? Do you think what Haran was saying, what I added to it is in line?
Like as far as being better than our mothers, or just like the standard of like what women are wanting in men.
Well, how men will criticize their fathers and be like, I want to be a better father than my father was, but never give their mothers criticism and saying, like, I want a woman like my mom. Like, mothers seem to be off the table of criticism, but men seem always to be on the table of criticism.
I think it depends on the household. You know, if people grew up in a more traditional and old style type of household, like my family, I mean, my family, we love each other and we're a bunch of goofballs, but we're also very critical of each other. And we're also very honest. So, I mean, I know that I said that when I grew up. Like, I wasn't that person that had daddy issues. I wasn't like, I want someone like my father because I saw the things in my dad. Like, my dad is an amazing father. He was such a great dad to me. But he had his flaws. And I was like, you know what? Like, I saw what my mom would struggle with in her marriage with the certain things that my dad struggled with. And I was like, okay, these are the things that I don't want in a man. But all these other things and these qualities and traits that my dad does offer, like, I would love to have it in a man. And the same thing with my mother. My mom is a great person. Like, I wish that I could have kids. Like, if I would want to be just like, well, some of the lies that she would tell me to protect me, but other than that, like, I would love to be a mother like my mom was, but and also a spouse. Like, there was nothing she wouldn't do for my father. But I would also call my mom out when she would talk to me about things that going on with my dad, and I was like, well, you have to understand. Like, you have to understand the tears. So then I had to be like that medium for both of my parents, being like, well, you have to understand it from her point of view and see her as a woman. She's gonna have emotions, she's gonna have this. Like, for men though, like, I think a lot of men, especially if the mothers are very coddling to the boys, I think that that's where the flaw in that system is. If mothers are too coddling for boys, it kind of creates a mama's boy and moist boys to where they're like, oh, I want to date somebody just like my mom. Or I actually don't think that they really want to date their mother, but they subconsciously pick people out that resemble traits and even some physical features of their mother, and they don't even realize it. And then there's the other side of the spectrum where guys may have a horrible mother, but they lacked that empathy, that nurturing, and all that stuff, and they try to find that in a woman that they never got. But then what ends up happening is they end up finding somebody else just like their toxic mother, because that's all that they know, that's all that they were exposed to, and that's all that they're able to recognize.
What do you say about that, Black? Did you date your mother?
Um, honestly, like looking at everything that's given, I guess like to a certain degree, yeah. Um, my mother, she wasn't like a lot of. I know a lot of people's mothers aren't like a lot of people's mothers, but like my mom's pretty much a gangster. Okay, like we didn't get the kiss the boo boo, kiss the owie. Like, oh my gosh, my poor baby. It's oh, get up, dust yourself off. It's the whole man up mentality. So like we didn't get, or I didn't get, uh, any of that motherly love that people typically get. I got a hard ass. I got two drill sergeants, but when the time came, mom was a little more gentle in the way that she would want something done or some kind of direction in the household. Would say like my chores or like how I'm conducting myself. Um, so to answer your question, dog, I'm gonna say yeah, cause my kid's mom, she was a whole entire drill sergeant. At first, it started off, like Coco said, like I got that nurturing, I got the love, that wasn't there, and you look up. I remember a couple of times, like I get lost in the store and I see her, and I approach her and I'm like, oh hey mom, like I called her, I almost called this one mom for like 2 years. I'm like, yo, like I don't think that's normal at all. And then I started to unpack it like, well, they do have a lot of the same qualities, like a lot of the like mannerisms and stuff are spot on. So I do agree with those statements. But again, to answer your question, like, yeah, I did. Will I again? No, I've learned my lesson.
So here we're gonna wrap it up soon because we've been going for an hour and a half. But I'm gonna pass this question around the table and then I'll answer it last. What is the fix if modern women don't care about men's issues and concerns, and there's not a march for justice as men are marching for justice for women? What is the fix? Should men care about modern women's issues? And if they should, to what degree? Coco.
I'd rather go last so I can have time to think about this.
All right, Tristan, you're next.
Listen, my solution is perfect. Sunday, 3 p.m. on the court steps, duke it out. I think that's perfectly fair. I think. Listen, everybody, listen. Show me that you're gonna live up to your standards. Are you willing to fight for it? Show me. I'm with that. Listen, everybody's mad at each other. It'd be less crime and everything. Everybody's just getting it out at 3 p.m. on a Sunday.
There are going to be a whole lot of toothless people after Sunday's boxing
All
match.
I'm saying, if you duck, how much if you duck? I mean, you perfectly fine. I'm like, it's gonna be a lot, a lot of men getting their way, but hey, it is what it is. Learn to win. It sucks to suck, homie. That's what I'm gonna say.
Right. Right.
Black, what do you think? Should men be concerned about women's issues if women are not concerned about men's struggles?
I think as a whole, like as a collective, um, like you said, if we're all equal here, then no, you don't care about my stuff. I don't care about your stuff.
Haran, what do you think?
Well, look, man. Like I always tell you, you know what I mean? I'm men first. You know, just worry about your own shit, man. You could have an opinion on, you can opine about what they're going through and so on and so forth. But now more than ever, I believe, in human history, a man should concentrate on being the best absolute version of himself. Because within that space, the degree of pride and confidence you will receive from building and constructing a superior version of yourself, you will truly believe that you can do anything in life. And the women and the people that come across you in life, they will feel that. And they will be probably more or less prone to try and manipulate you. People know who to run game on, man. Con artists know who a mark is. That's why they call them mark. Like, look, if your lady did XYZ to you and she never did XYZ to you before, at some point in time during the relationship, you became a mark. Look, man, I'll give you some, an example of mine. And I was putting a young dude on the game. I was going through some stuff with an ex, a girl who became my ex, of course. And I didn't pay attention to her as much as I should have. I was dealing with a lot of stuff I didn't share, with her or whatever. That's just me. Now, we were going through whatever we were going through, and we were on the last stretch of the situation. It was going to be over. But she said one thing that I knew that, okay, this is it. This is done. She said to me, give me a reason to stay. And I said, nah, because I never had to give you a reason before. If a woman tells you anything like that, it's over, man. It's over. Once
No,
you
I agree.
start looking for reasons, you know what I mean, and she says some shit like that to you, it's fucking over. Because a lot of times, even in that space, if you give her a reason to stay, what happens with a lot of guys is that they they um they compromise themselves. That's usually the beginning of the end. It's a snowball effect. And before you know it, you become a shell of your fucking self, and she leaves you anyway. Because you're no
It's just
longer,
prolonging. You're just
it's a
prolonging
slow
the
drip.
inevitable.
It's a
Yeah.
slow fucking drip. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? You allowed her to basically slow drip you and take everything away from you because you were afraid to actually lose this woman. You didn't accept the fact that when she said that she needed a reason to stay, it was a clear indication that it was fucking over. You know, I do not claim to be a master of woman. I have a very finite amount of years to my life. I will never dedicate my time to try and master women. That's some other shit. But I will say, based on my own experiences, there's certain shit that I know, and there's certain shit that you know what I mean that I don't know. And there's one thing I do know, and I think Coco could probably attest to this. When you're that dude, a woman falls in line. Okay, when you're that guy, you ain't got to say shit. You know, and people can, you know, I think game is overblown. Just as long as you have, you know, basic social skills, you can tell a joke. You're an interesting person, but you don't have to have lines and shit like that. It's not necessary. But if a woman feels that you're the guy, she's gonna make sure that she's an eye view of you. She's gonna make sure that she catches your attention. Okay, you don't have to sit there and jump through hoops and do all this wild shit, you know what I mean, that a lot of these, you know, these pickup artists tell you have to do in order to get women's attention. No, you don't. You just got to show up and present. I'll say one more thing. One of my favorite dating apps to test myself, one of my favorite dating apps is not Tinder, it's Bumble. That's one of my favorite dating apps. And you know why? And you know why? Because it puts the power in the hands of the women. Now, if I got a bunch of chicks showing up and hey, look, Coco, don't hate. I've had a few great nights based on Bumble. Okay, it's a stress reliever. Hey, we all have our vices, but anyway, you know what I mean. You know, in that situation, I say to myself, if I put myself in a situation that I present and I get baddies showing up, okay, I'm doing something right. If I got Ugmos and fours and fives showing up, oh, it's time to go back to the lab. I'm doing something wrong. I'm doing something wrong here. Something has to happen. Maybe I need to hit the pecs a little bit harder. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. But anyway, that's it.
Just so you know, I did 225 shoulder press yesterday, two different
Okay,
sets
okay,
because
we didn't really have to, you know what I mean, talk about that. But okay. I
my
see I
my,
see I
my
see you wanna, you know, indirectly throw it out there and try to challenge me. Okay, no problem. I'm gonna start doing videos, Glenn. I'm gonna start sending
let's do it. Let's do it, baby. Let's do this.
I'm gonna start doing them, man. You
I
know what I
want to
mean?
see it. I want to see it. Where you
Let's
at?
go. Okay, let's
No,
go,
but
man.
here's the thing. Not only did I have to do my last set 225 because that was it, I had to do an additional set of 225 to get it on camera because my camera op somehow decided to
Oh
stop the
man.
camera in
Oh
the middle
Jesus.
of my set. She got the
Oh Jesus.
starting of it, she got the beginning, and then she dropped it to the end.
Oh shit.
Somewhere, and I was like, I'm looking at it, I was like, you didn't capture any of it? And she's like, well, I got it when you're up. And then the next thing is down. And I'm like,
Oh
Wait,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
Glenn, were you grunting while you were doing it?
yes. I
She
was
did it
just,
on purpose. She said, "I'm gonna see it again." she,
so I'm going to throw
she,
the question
she
to
tricked you.
Coco. Coco, bad camera op that night. But what do you think? Do you think men should care about modern women's issues?
I feel bad. I just skipped over Tristan. But I let me see. Where did I write my notes? Um, So I think that, in all honesty, it's really hard because yes, there's a lot of toxic modern day women, but I feel like in situations like that, it should be very subjective on a base by base of the person that you're with, because there are still some actual decent women out there that do believe in the traditional household standard and relationship standard. It just sucks because they're far in between and you just have to kind of weed them out. But I truly believe that if women are going to not be empathetic and not care about men's rights, then they need to understand that it has to go both ways. So I think if there's going to be laws and standards for women, then those same laws and standards should also go towards men. Because women think like men can't be abused, you can't sexually assault a man. That's actually not true, because have they not heard the news when actually these call girls or these girls that are actually fishing for guys and like staking them out on like at bars and stuff, and then roofing them and getting them back to their hotel to like start to do things with them, and then they rob them, or then they have sex halfway through, pass out, and then all their shit's gone. Like, they're just as much of a predator. Like, women are getting bold. So I think that, and women think like, oh, if they're gonna start fist fighting or hitting their man or something, that he's like, oh, he's just gonna have to sit there and take it. No. If you want to get physical, you need to expect, to an extent, because yes, men are so much stronger than women, like their punch is a lot more effective than a woman, that they're gonna push back to protect themselves. So laws and standards, I feel like, need to be equal. And then let's see how women actually change their mentality and behavior towards these things, knowing that, okay, so we said we wanted equalism, but we were actually trying to like split hairs and really pick the ones that we wanted, but now they're going all the way with it to making laws and standards equal for both parties, and we don't like that, and see how quick they change their mentality on it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think like, hey, ladies, if you want to throw blows with a guy, be prepared to catch some blows thrown back at your way at 3:00 on Sunday in front of the courthouse, like Tristan said. You know, I pity the woman that ever tries to square off with anybody that I know.
I'm just saying it's a simple solution. Like, oh, you upset? I'm upset too. So let's get it done. Like we're not gonna leave each other, right? So let's just duke it out. Listen, let it all hang out.
But like, you know, I think what I'm gonna add to my answer is, do I think men should care about women's issues? I'm gonna take a little bit of everybody's what they said and kind of like say what I believe. I believe like what Haran said, men need to be more focused on men and bettering themselves. You can't be distracted by what's going on outside of your sphere. If you don't have any control over it, you shouldn't have any concern with it. You can only treat people good in your sphere, like in your interactions with them, the waitress or the tranny, you know, Starbucks, you know, person. You can just be nice to them. You know, you don't have to protest and stand up for their rights. You do, the way you could do it is by treating people right. You know, that's how men could do this. I also think that men need to be on their point, on their square, work on themselves constantly, like Haran mentioned. You know, if guys are having problems with women, it's most likely because they're not on their square. They're not doing what they need to do. Too often we see men trying to placate to women's appeal instead of doing what's best for them and doing what's best for for their life. And I think men need to do that. Also, I think I want to mention what Coach Justin said before he left. You know, if men should only care about the woman in front of them, the woman that you're with. You know, the woman you're in a relationship with. You should care about her and what she's going through to a degree. You know, you can't fix all her problems, you know, but you should have concern about what she's going through. And if it's something you could adjust and correct and help out with without it derailing your path or your frame, then do so. But do I think men should be concerned about, you know, women protesting for abortions or, you know, all this other nonsense? No, I don't. I think men need to be concerned about themselves and how to better their lives and their loved ones' lives. I think men need to worry about their families and improving their circle. I think that's important for men to do. Everything else will work itself out. There's enough laws out there. We don't need any more laws to dictate things. I think laws should change. I think it's interesting because I was talking to Coco about this before. It's like women want to live in this modern world without modern laws. They want to use the laws and standards for men back in the day. They want the old order laws, and they don't want modern laws, because if they had modern laws would require them to be accountable, and have expectations for women that women don't want. Do I think we're ever going to get there? Probably not. So I don't think it's worth men fighting over or fighting for, when, as Haran mentioned, that the politicians are not going to change their vote or change these dynamics, because there's too much money invested in it. The best way that men could navigate this is find a woman that truly cares about you. And if she doesn't care about you, she will show that. And when her colors show that she doesn't care about you, then you detach from her. Because it's not fair for anybody to be in a situation where both parties are not equally invested, both parties are not equally concerned with each other. And for the lady in the video that said kill all men, I'm right here. You could come find me. You could catch a case. I'll meet you at 3:00 at the courthouse, in front of Tristan's courthouse, and we could do this. Crazy woman.
I said she got issues. I'm like, if she want to get aggressive, let's all get aggressive legally.
As 50 Cent said, like, I don't want problems, but if you want problems, I say no problem.
Right.
Yo,
Hey,
she
that's the
really
best
said
line.
that.
I can't. No, she literally said, "Let's kill every swinging dick. Let's kill every baby, like male baby at that." Like, yo, that woman got serious issues, and to think that the rhetoric is not going to like continue, like doesn't lead to action. Just so you know, there was a mother, I think it was 6 months ago to a year ago, Coco, that drowned her 3 sons. I think I shared the story with you, because she didn't want her 3 sons to become abusers. Do you remember that story?
What?
Yeah, I did. I was extremely infuriated, because it's almost like it's almost like that thing that I forget what it was that you told me the other day. That we had watched, where you said, like, oh, when all those kids in class, all the boys had to stand up and apologize to all the females in the class for all of the sexual assaults or things that have happened to women. I'm like, you are punishing somebody for something that they didn't even do, and you don't even know if they are going to do that. But because you have a mental issue, because you have trauma that you yourself have not gone to therapy for, like, and a fear that probably, like, this isn't going to happen to you, and who are you saving? Because, like, you should not be punishing children for something that grown adults know right and wrong from. These kids are still learning. That's why they're supposed to have good, wholesome parents to instill these things, to tell them and to show them this is wrong. If you ever do this, this is what's going to happen to you. Like, not kill them or punish them or embarrass them or shame them for something that they didn't even do, and most likely probably won't even achieve or to do in their life.
Yeah, did you guys catch that? It was a year ago. The schools in Australia made all the boys, elementary kids, stand up and apologize to their female teachers and their female classmates for sexual assault.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Black, how would you feel if Junior had to stand up and apologize for sexual assault that he never committed?
I don't even have words. Like, I'd be not only offended, but I guess we're meeting at the courthouse at 3:00. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Tristan, you're gonna have a whole lot of brawls at that courthouse.
Listen. Listen. I'm taking bets and everything. I'm like, listen, it's gonna be perfect.
That
I'm
shit
like,
gonna look
listen,
like the Royal Rumble.
listen. I'm like, some of y'all ladies, like, and y'all can jump. I said, if y'all need to, ladies. I'm saying everything's fair game except for weapons.
But what is your thoughts on that, Tristan? Like, these kids had
Um,
to apologize for sexual assault. These are 10, 9, 11, 12-year-olds who have never been in a sexual situation in their lives. They don't even know what sexual assault is yet, and they have to apologize for something they never even did. But just because they have a penis, they had to apologize for it.
Well, I would have went to the school, nice and polite. I said, "May I have all the female teachers, please meet me at this office?" And I'm going to politely tell every single person with the full amount of disrespect I can build and say, "Fuck off." I said, "What?" And I'm gonna leave, and taking my kid out because actually, I think that's against the law. You can't
I'd
do
sue the
that.
school. I'd sue the school and make sure every one of those teachers involved will never, ever, ever get a job in education ever again.
You know what?
I would ruin lives.
That brought up an interesting point. And I think Coco mentioned it earlier when she talked about, and I know we're adding on, but I really want to bring this point up. I think men need to care more about their sons than they do. Coco brought up a point that her dad was, he treated the son different than he treated his daughters. And, it was to toughen him up. And that's a good thing. But you know what? You remember in Bad Boys 2? Remember when Martin Lawrence and Will Smith grilled that guy that
Right,
came to
right,
the door, taking out his
right.
daughter? I think fathers, we have the right to grill these women, these girls that come to our door. Be like, who the fuck is this? Susan? Who the fuck is Susan? I'm here to see Matthew. What the fuck you want, Matthew? Huh? You trying to get him knocked up? You trying to get some child support out of my son? Are you a hoe?
Oh, my father did that because I played ball. So my father, I played ball. Listen, if it was a girl, he's like this. What are you doing? He's like this. Like, we knew who visited the school today. Why are you over here?
There ain't gonna be no fucking tonight, all right? He had a game tomorrow. He don't need no baby mama drama at 16.
Listen, every Friday after practice, it was I'm going to his house, and ain't nothing. I don't know nothing about this town, so I'm just sitting in the house. Then I go back to school, and it was just like that. You're like this. You ain't messing with them fast ass girls. I had a military father, and everybody was treated equally. If you effed up, listen, you catching one to the face. Everybody catching one to the face.
But I think men, as much as we need to toughen our sons up to prepare them for the cold hard reality that the world doesn't give a fuck about them, we need to show a level of concern to our sons when it comes to the women that come to the house or that they date. I think if us men have an expectation, because we have an expectation for our daughters, when we see the guys come up, we size them up. We're like,
Right,
are they a good man? Are they good enough for our daughter?
right.
We need to do the same thing for our sons with these women. To be like, yo, look who this girl walked in the door. She looks like a hoe. Like, I already know what she's about. I don't want my son to have nothing to do with no hoe, because I know that if she's dressed in this way to come visit him, she's dressed in that way to visit Timmy, John, Sam, and Max, all in the
Right,
same week. I
right.
think men, we need to have that type of security for our son. And I think that's something we don't do. We don't put expectations on the women that our sons date. And I think that's something important. What do you think, Coco?
I agree. I mean, and made a point, and my dad actually did that. My dad did that with my brother. Like, he was tough with him on how to be a man because he's like, this is what a man is supposed to do for somebody. But he also told him when it came to having the sex talk, and he was getting older and into puberty, he was like, look, he's like, I understand that you're gonna have urges, which is so crazy. I mean, I have to admit, because like dads are always so protective. My dad's always like, just keep your fucking legs closed until you get married. But like for boys, they're like, well, just make sure you wrap it up. So my dad would tell my brother, he's like, look, he's like, I understand that you're gonna have sex at some point in your life. And he's like, and it's understandable. He's like, because you need to experiment a little bit, but to find out what you like in women. He's like, but the thing that you have to remember is like, you need to be safe. And not just because of STDs, like because the last thing you want is to stick your dick in some hole with a girl that was a one-night stand that you would never bring home to your mama. And then the next thing you know, she gets pregnant and you're stuck with her for the rest of your life, because I know you as a man and you're going to do the right thing and you're going to be miserable. Do you want to end up like so-and-so? And he lists some family members or people that he knows that had that happen. It goes, and look at the type of relationship and marriage that they have. Like, do you want that? You don't want that in your life. You need to be careful who you give yourself to. And then when you find somebody that is worthy of you to want a family with and to marry, then you can choose to be less cautious. He's like, but there are so many women out there that will try to take advantage of you just to make sure that they have a free ride. And the last thing you want to do is to work your ass off for some hoe that just wants a free ride.
Yeah, Haran, what do you say about that? Do you think men should be more selective on who their sons date?
I think they should sit down and have those conversations with men, with their sons about, to Coco's point, the pitfalls of choosing the wrong woman. But there's two things, the two most important things that a man will, ever do is the choice of woman that he has a child with, and the woman that he marries. Those are the two biggest decisions every man will ever be faced with, because those will literally make or break you. And there's another thing too that we don't often discuss as men, is that, and I didn't do this for quite some time, but I've grown to do this, is that you have to have a tribe, man. You got to have a brain trust. You know what I mean? There has to be a man cave, man. You know what I mean? Where you guys congregate and sit down and bounce ideas off each other. You talk about what you're going through, whatever, you know what I mean? We as men, we're not conditioned to really congregate. And anytime you see any images of us congregating on television, it's always some stupid shit. You know what I mean? We're crushing beer cans on each other's heads. We're doing dumb shit. We're acting like idiots. There aren't images of grown men actually sitting down and having adult conversations about their
It's
issues
Or it's
and
like
so on and so forth.
we congregate over like projects, like oh,
Right,
Haran, your car's not working. All right, I'll come over and we'll
right, right, right,
do it.
right, right.
We
You know what I
we
mean?
don't really just get together just to get together.
Right, and actually
We
talk. You know what I
we
mean?
always need a function. We need something to do, and I think that just goes to our nature, because men are just we are not the social butterfly. That's
Right,
women. Women are
right,
all up in everybody's business. Did you hear about Susan and her husband? Oh my
right,
God. Can you believe this? Like, guys
right,
don't give a fuck. We're like,
right,
Bob will call me when Bob needs help. If he needs
right.
something, like nobody cares about Bob and Susan until
But the
Bob
fuck,
business up.
but the fucked up part about it is that, you know what I mean, you realize when Bob passes away, you didn't get to tell him all the things that you wish you told him. You know what I mean?
Or you didn't help him when you could have.
Exactly.
You
You know
could
what I
have,
mean?
and that's a huge thing. You're right. I think men need to collaborate more. They need to socialize together more. And that was the greatest thing that I saw when I started getting into Rollo Tomasi's work. The community of men that I met from him, like Paul from Apex Mindset is a coach that I tell you right now literally helped me through some of the darkest times in my life, and I
Wow.
consider a good friend. And we still talk, we collaborate, we do streams like this all the time. and and the network that came from that. That's where I met Offie Kingdom from. MLD. Thor. Like these guys, like these are the guys that I would put if I was going to be like, all right, cool. I need my Avengers. If I'm going through something deep, I'll throw Haran in there. I'm calling my Avengers. Avengers assemble. Like this is. I'm going to talk to these men because, and the thing that men do, we qualify men. We're like, are these men that we really want to connect with?
Right.
And that's something important that you're right. The men need to start doing more. They need to really collaborate with other men. And that's something that I saw was new to me in this community. When I
So the
saw
problem is that here's what happens, and I'll be transparent with you. I'm a recovering alcoholic. You know what I mean? I'm about a good 2 years and change. Sober.
congratulations,
Thanks.
That's a big demon to fight. So congratulations.
Oh yeah, it really is, man. And the thing about it is that I've through much of my life, I've been a loner. I've known a whole bunch of people. I've had, boys, or whatever, my crew, whatever. But, I've been a loner for very much of my life. And I don't really talk, about the shit I go through. I just handle shit. You know what I mean? And, as men, especially men from a particular generation, we're conditioned to just fucking handle shit. You don't even think about the immensity of the problem. You just see the burning building, you grab your gear, and you just run in the bitch. You know what I mean? And you just like we'll do what needs to be done. But there's an aftermath to that. You know what I mean? And a lot of times in my own life, what I was doing was like, look, man, I'd go through shit and I'd put that shit in the bucket and move on to the next shit. I wouldn't even talk about it. I wouldn't even acknowledge that, wow, that's fucked up that we almost lost our life right there. I don't even think about it. It's just like, hey, we're on to the next shit. And as men, we do that. You got guys who come back from fucking war. They don't really talk about that shit. They leave everything over there, and they think that by leaving everything over there, that shit doesn't come back with you. Yes, it fucking does, bro. That shit fucking comes back with you. And your kids see it, and your wife sees it, And, you got to go through all that fucking shit, trying to just readjust in life, man. And, as men, we need spaces where it's just like, I'm going through this. It is what it is. Even if you gotta hire a therapist, if that's your thing, fuck it, whatever. But as men, if we don't tackle these demons, man, that shit will eat us up alive, man. That shit will eat us up, man. Whether it's addiction, you get a fucking stroke, whatever it is, Men, we a lot of times we don't understand that, You don't want to go toe to toe with stress, bro. Stress most of the time wins. You don't want to do that.
No, you're right. You're right. And it's important that men have a community to communicate with and to bounce ideas off of. I mean, that's something that men need to learn from women because women do it really well. Like women will collaborate and connect with one another and they'll do it really well. And something that men don't do. And I think that's really important. That's something that men should do. But we're at the 2 hour mark here. Let's go at closing, last thoughts. And also let us know where we could find you. Let everybody know. And, I'll encourage everybody that's on the panel to like the video. Let's get the algorithm up. Let's get this going. I think we have a good thing going on here. But let's start with Black. Black, tell me what's up with you. What you plan on doing? I know you're talking about doing YouTube and doing this. Share with everybody like where you're coming from, what your point of view, and where they could find you.
Wow, that was a lot. Basically, I want to branch out into a lot of things that I haven't that I've always been interested in, but because of an industry that I was in, so I was managing moving and storage companies, managed 5 over 14 years. So I just been involved with basically everyone else's households. now that I've kind of have a little bit of time to myself, like, and looking forward to relocating here pretty soon. Um, I know what I'm capable of, so I think I'm going to take a lesser role somewhere else, like in a little 9 to 5 or something, and gain back some of my freedom to work on these things. Um, I'm on Instagram. I pretty much live on Snapchat, but I get to my Snap quicker just because I move around a lot throughout the day, from 5 a.m. till about like 11:30, 12 o'clock. That's Mountain Standard Time. Um, what else did you need from me?
That was pretty much it, bro. That was it. Let's go, Tristan. Tristan, where can they find you and your memes?
Well, my memes are on most panels I'm invited to, but the main one is on the block with Jen, yours, and what is it, Wana, right, Haran?
Yep,
Am I missing anybody else?
that's it.
Yeah, that's about it. Oh, and him versus her solutions. That's another one. But mostly on the block with Jen is where I'm at, and don't dox me. That's about it.
We'll catch you at the courthouse, 3 p.m. with the gloves and everything.
Exactly. I think that's the greatest thing about freedom. I said, you know what? Forget about it. Let's just meet at the courthouse on Sunday, 3 p.m., and we all just bang it out. You mad? I'm mad. Listen, and when the time is up, everybody go home. Nobody gets shot.
All right, Coco, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram for Coco Bay, BAE.B.fit. And then hopefully, in the first few weeks of next month, I will be starting my own YouTube channel called Pillow Talk. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, Haran, where can they find you?
Oh yeah, man. You can find me sitting on it. No, I'm chilling. Yeah. Well, first of all, I plan on launching my own channel sometime. Probably September, sometime in the fall. I'm definitely, you're all invited. You can catch me until then. You can catch me on, hanging out with Glenn. Definitely on the block with Jen. Tamara G's channel, and every now and again I pop up on E Black's channel, E Black TV. But yeah, until then, the kind of topics that I'll be talking about, definitely things that I plan on having my channel really be focused on male improvement, man. And the kind of guys I'll have on there, are guys who've been through the rigmarole with women, guys who've had sex with like real women, not like not like some of these pickup artists who are selling bullshit game. I want guys who've actually been through the ups and downs and so on and so forth. Because we really need to help these guys out here, man. There's guys out here who are they're just lost. And I'm seeing that there's definitely a space for me out here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you guys. You can find me right here on YouTube. You can find me on Glenn_Lawrence_presents on Instagram. Glenn Lawrence on Facebook. And yes, we are still making the movie Mind Dates. We are still raising the funds for Mind Dates. If you guys ever interested in doing that, you guys want to contribute, just hit me up. And I want to end on something that Tristan inspired me with. So I'm just gonna play this and let you guys just end with it. Yeah. You beat for me, I'm even the score equally. All right, that's it.
I haven't heard that in years.
With that being said, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.